Well, hello, folks, and welcome to the Dieter Melhorn Fishing Podcast. I hope you're having a good day, whatever day it is that you happen to be listening to the show. Today, I've got an interview that was taped at the 2025 Catfish Conference out in Louisville, Kentucky. It's with Rich Segarra, who is the Director of Operation Vets with Nets. They are an organization that takes veterans out on fishing trips. He's going to go into detail what this organization is about, how it operates, and just who benefits from this. So sit back, enjoy the podcast. I think you'll like what Rich has to say. Why did you join the military?
Well, I had a lot of family that were Navy. My uncle was in the Navy, was in Vietnam. My cousin was in the Navy. A couple other cousins went in. So I found that really interesting as I was seeing that. And so then, I thought, this is what I'm going to do. And so I actually joined the Navy a year before I graduated, and they had the delayed entry program. And so during that time, I waited, got into a little bit of trouble, and they're like, this would be a great way to straighten your life out. And I'm like, you know what? I was going to that path anyway, and came in 1985, and couldn't wait to get out. But then 20 years later is when time to go. But it was a blast.
What did you do in the Navy?
I was an operations specialist. In the Air Force, they call them GCI controllers. So I worked with radar. I controlled fighter aircraft. I was like, they always refer to me as their third wingman, because I'm looking at the radar. I'm painting the big picture for them. I'm helping them with their tactics and stuff like that. So I did that, and then I was a trainer. So I taught all the schools that I went through, and that ended up continuing afterwards. Give me a minute here, scratch my ear. The rest of my career since I retired has been doing nothing but starting from training development and then training management. Now I'm project lead for the government, doing government training.
What was the motivation for Operation Vets with Nets? Where did that idea start?
Where did it start? So I guess it was in 20 when I first started learning to catfish. I was sitting, I have a house on Gaston, and sitting out there on my neighbor's boat dock and just sitting out relaxing, put a rod out, didn't know nothing about anything. Well, next thing you know, it was a hot dog. I caught about a 15-pound blue. And dude, I was so excited. I was like, and so I took that up. I all of a sudden went to YouTube, tried to find how to clean that thing, because I loved catfish, eating it. And next morning, I wake my wife up to breakfast, eggs and all that other stuff, and catfish nuggets. And she'll never let me forget that no catfish nuggets for breakfast. But it was great. It was great. And so then I got excited, and there was some folks on Gaston that were, pretty much legends on the lake. And so I started, a dialogue there and started learning things. Got on there and learned so much from you. Of all people, from you.
Imagine that.
Man, imagine that stuff. No,
most people learn what not to do. So,
so and then I had a 2019 Godfrey Sweetwater, and so I started little by little putting things on there. Come to find out I need a trolling motor, and I look at that bill, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I get a trolling motor on there, and then I started learning how to, from one of the local legends there, learning how to run planer boards, watching some of your videos, and doing a bunch of it. And I go out there, and the next thing you know, I'm catching some smaller cats, and I'm like, wow. And when I was doing it, even though I spent probably 3 months getting skunked and was getting aggravated, it was still relaxing for me. With me battling depression at times, physical disabilities, I started finding that when my body wasn't as stressed, because we know there's good stress and bad stress. And I was finding that after a day on the water, if I got skunked or not, I was just a lot more relaxed. And so now I'm really getting the hang of it. I'm catching fish every time I'm going out. I'm getting some nice fish. I invited a friend of mine. He's a vet. Did not know that he suffered severely from PTSD. So he comes out on a Friday. We go out catch some bait. Saturday and Sunday we're fishing. And got him on some good fish, and his wife calls me back a couple of days later. She's in tears. And I thought something happened. I thought finally something happened, and and she goes, "Rich, thank you." I'm like, "Thank you. Thank you for what?" I said, for giving me back my husband. I said, "Yeah, I sent him home Sunday. I didn't want to be with him any longer. A weekend's enough." She started laughing. She goes, "No," but she goes, "He's laughing. It seems like his old demeanor is back, and all he kept doing was talking about the trip that you guys had." And I'm like, wow. And I got pretty emotional because I'm like, I knew what kind of real therapy it gave me. Now it was somebody else. So then I was talking to my VA therapist. I said, well, maybe you found a little niche. If it's helping you, maybe, you can do something with vets to help other vets, and that's really where it started. And then I thought, well, if I can help a couple of guys just locally and some friends, what about if we eventually grew into something? And so I got my 501c3, and we just ran it from there. And within maybe 4 years, we're in over 28 different states. We've got close to 80 volunteer captains. Last year we ran over 1,000 missions. We call them missions, and that's really how it started and really what it's morphed into.
Why do you think fishing for catfish, fishing for anything, is healing like that?
I guess you can contribute to a couple of things. Is number one, the relaxation of it, especially like if you and not knocking the bass fishermen and everything, but you're standing on a boat, you're constantly all this, and some people need that anyway, really, to be honest with you. But to sit there and relax, you putting your rods out there, you're trolling, and just taking in Mother Nature, being on the water, the fresh air, sitting with somebody and just having some good conversation. To me, that's really the healing part of it. There's times I've got skunked and I'm upset because I really wanted to put this vet on some fish. And they're like, dude, you've given me the best time ever. It's us sitting down, relaxing. Some vets would open up and just pour out everything that's been on their chest. And I'm just sitting there like a sponge, soaking it all up. And, because we provide a safe space. We're not here to judge, and just talk. And that's really what it is. And so I found it because even helping those guys, I find it therapeutic for myself. So I still find that real therapy, even though when we're on the water, I'm not touching a rod. I'm going to make sure, that fish is on, here you go. And then I'll get bait on it, get it back out there again, or I'll teach them how to do that and walk them through that so they learn another skill to maybe this might be something, a hobby that somebody might pick up. Something that if they're reeling, hey, I'm getting some real therapy, maybe I can do that from a bank. Maybe I can throw a rod out, sit back and relax. And, so I try to teach you guys as well. And it's, there's a lot of cognitive thought. You're a cat fisherman. There's a lot of cognitive thought, a lot of different things that go into it. Isn't just like, yep, throw the line out and I'm going to sit back and catch something. There's a lot that goes into it. So I try to teach these guys this. And
yeah. 89% of my viewers are men, so I'm going to apologize as I start this question to the 11% of the women, but probably 99% of those 11% women that watch the channel have a man involved in their life. So I ask this question. Men really suck at communicating when they have something wrong, something that worries them, eats at them, and that's just men in general, not to mention people that have been subjected to PTSD, things that can bring that on, and everything, the stress that goes with that, the thought process that goes with it. And
because
that's
men think it's weakness.
Yeah.
Men think if we've got something going on, that something's bothering us and we can't deal with it, we're going to keep that hidden from the rest of the world because we don't want to show weakness. That's just, it's built into our DNA. And, I've had one guy. We had a trip scheduled for 2 weeks. I reached out to him the night before to make sure everything's still good, and he had the directions. Haven't heard from him. And so I was at the pier waiting for him, and he showed up. And he stepped on the boat and just broke down crying. Hours before that, he was sitting with a bullet in his mouth, or a gun in his mouth, ready to pull the trigger. And he said something told him he needs to go on this trip. I still keep in contact with him now, and it was an emotional day. I mean, a lot of crying, a lot of holding, a lot of talking, and it's tough, and it's hard for us as men to do that.
So is it? And a lot of people would get scared by that, and I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do. What's your message there? Is it as simple as just asking a question and getting them to talk? Is that all it takes sometimes?
Actually, the opposite. You being prior military, and I tell my captains this: you do not ask them anything outside this conversation. Let them open up to you, because a lot of times, and this is where the women are at. This is where the women, is a lot of times women will, our better halves will just dump a whole bunch of stuff on us, and we as men, that's our better half. We want to fix it for them. Yeah. We want to fix it for them. And then we get yelled at even more because all they want us to do is listen.
Just shut up and listen.
Just shut up and listen. Yeah. No, I don't want you to fix it. Just shut up and let me get this off my chest. I just need to let this off. So listen. And that's why I try to tell our guys that that's what we're about. We're just going to listen. Now, if they share some things with us and ask us something, some opinion on something, then I tell folks, try to really keep that. Because we're not therapists, we're fishermen. To really think about that question and let them know this is only your opinion. But then also some of our civilian captains, they can't relate to the vets and what they might be dealing with in a sense. So it's hard for them to connect on that level. But every captain I've had who's a civilian who've gone out with vets said it's some of the best trips because they are building a bond with that veteran and learning what they've gone through or learning about their military career. And so I really tell our guys it's all about listening. And that's the biggest problem. We spent a whole day on a boat together fishing. I like to talk.
Yeah, you're good at talking. That's why I brought you in.
You're the same way.
To that point, I mean, it's not like people walk around, and this isn't just military. This is anybody.
That's
because
right.
Anybody can, your programs around that. But what's some clues out there for somebody? Because you could have somebody that's been through some type of event, traumatic or whatever. I mean, it's not always have to be a horribly traumatic event. What are some clues people can look for that, hey, maybe my buddy needs to talk, or, a wife is seeing, something in a husband? What are some clues there to look for that this might be somebody that needs that kind of help, talk, engagement, friend, whatever you want to call it?
Again, I'm not trained on all of that. I can speak to the things that I've experienced, is especially if it's a friend and I know that friend well. If they're really an outgoing person and next thing you know, they kind of start to draw in. They're not, usually you call, you talk a bunch, to me, those are indicators something might be wrong. I've seen it go on a completely different spectrum to where they start drinking, and a lot more than they normally would. Me, I mean, I quit drinking in 2007 because I was an alcoholic. And so when I start to see those things, or and as we get trained in the military as well, and I still as a DoD civilian, is if somebody starts just giving away a lot of personal things, they've been withdrawn, they're giving personal things away, their behaviors are starting to change. You can kind of sense that they're setting themselves up for something. And sometimes those hints can be very subtle. And it's something you really gotta pay attention to, and it's nothing that we, as a human, you know, um, are gonna go and try to look at everybody, all your friends, and see if there's, ooh, is that
Analyze them, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But there will be some triggers that will that you'll pick up because something's out of the ordinary. Something's not
Yeah.
sitting right.
So somebody's going to watch this podcast. They're possibly a veteran, or will be. They're a veteran. They see this. Some of the stuff is clicking with them. They're going, "That's me." I would, they're going to think I'd love to just see if this is something that changed me. How did they reach out? How did they find out? I mean, how did they come to you? Because again, that asking, I want to be a part of this. I think this would be good. How did they do that? How did they say, "Hey, I want to go fishing"?
No, that's a great question, because some of my podcast or my TikTok or YouTube stuff, somebody would see something, and all they got to do is go to our website, operationvetswithnets.org, and we have right on there, if you're looking for a trip, you fill it out. There's some questions in there. We don't really answer anything. We don't ask much personal stuff, because you got to worry about PII, and it's none of my business. I want to get you out on the water.
Right.
And so they can reach out there. They can reach out to us on Facebook. They can reach out to us on TikTok. I've had some folks that know some folks that know some folks that refer them over to the organization. There are and I just found out today, I interviewed Matt Knight from Mad Cats.
Had him in here earlier.
So I had Matt in here, and we were doing an interview, and he said, "You may not know this, but and this may be the first time you're hearing this, but because we do a lot of sponsoring with you, we do a lot of events with you. People, you're on our website. People have asked, hey, how do I go about these vet trips? What are all these about?" And I'd send them over to your website, and or send them to some of your captains that I know. And he said, and what's exciting to me is, because Matt says, I know the good things that you're doing. But when I hear it from you and from some of your captains, but some of the vets that I referred them to take a trip with you, call me back and share their experience, that they had. He said, that's why we are friends. That's why, my company supports you, because I know you're doing exactly what your mission is and what you aim to do. And so, yeah, all they got to do is reach out to us. And like I said, we've got a couple new coordinators that when the request comes in, they'll look at what state, they'll contact those state leads, or that area chapter, get some information, and somebody will reach out to them, and then they match them up with a captain. That captain will reach out and talk with them and get them all scheduled up.
And there's also going to be some boat captains out there that may be interested in helping and may think they're not qualified, underqualified, scared to do it. I don't know if I can deal with this. This is intimidating. What's your message to those people that may be interested?
Same thing. Go to our website, operationvetswithnets.org. Scroll down the first middle page. It'll say volunteer captain's request. They'll click on that, and they'll have some requirements that we have, and here's what we do, and if this is a fit for you, they fill out that form. They'll automatically get an email generated to them that gives them a captain's agreement, so they understand, hey, you got to carry liability insurance, These are various different things. You got to make sure you're following all U.S. Coast Guard rules and all that stuff, because safety is paramount. It says that you will not engage and you will not question veterans and like you disabled, what kind of, or you have PT, none of that. And once again, going back into listen. So we have a bunch of criteria, and then I have a vetting process, and that's it. That's it. And then off we go. We get them going. And if there's some other captains that are real local to them that are in the organization, we'll have them go out with those captains, as part of that vetting process, just to see how they're doing. And
so there's going to be some guys out there that are going to have injuries from the military combat. May not have legs, may not have arms, whatever. How am I going to get on a boat? What's the message to them? What's in the plans? What can you do there? What's kind of that?
No, great question. Here within Virginia, North Carolina, right now, I have 2 wheelchair accessible boats. One we're finishing up now. The other one we started building in 22, launched it officially in 23. It's all ADA compliant. We've got the ramps where they can just roll right on up. Then we'll turn them and we latch them right on in with the wheelchair tie downs. And so we have 2 of those boats. And my goal, hopefully, saying in the next 5 years, because we normally will, people donate some old like we have a tri-tune and a pontoon. Those are usually the best boats to do that with, because you got a lot of room, remove a lot of couches, and you can get things set. So these 2 boats were donated, and then we do fundraisers or people start donating the equipment that's needed. We're going to build a boat, and we're going to, and I'm hoping within the next 5 years, we get enough donations coming in, maybe boats donated, equipment donated, so we could outfit more wheelchair accessible boats, so then I can start sending them out to other chapters, so they can meet that need as well.
To that point, there's going to be people out there that everything's wonderful in their life. I don't need to go fishing. I ain't got no boat. I ain't taking nobody, but I want to help.
Oh,
how does that happen?
Our ambassador program, which is a new program. There are some folks that really love what we're doing, and they want to help. Some come and man our booths. They might spread the word. So right on, as a matter of fact, that's probably the second link on our, it says ambassador program. We've got TJ, who you're going to talk to in a bit. TJ is our ambassador coordinator. He's starting to learn his way in that role. But when we have new captains come on, he'll go through their paperwork. He'll interview them. He'll do an initial vetting. And it's going to be the same thing with with what we call our ambassadors. And we haven't laid out truly what that picture is going to look like, that ambassador program. It's still very new. But I've recognized, 6 months ago, that there are people that want to do, but they don't go fishing, or they don't have a boat, or whatever it might be, but they still want to give back to our veterans. And so I'm trying to put together a program that they can be a part of and feel just as good help, because they're helping that vet just as much as that captain is. If we're doing a big event and they're out there cooking burgers, because we're going to do a whole bunch of burgers, guess what? You're putting food in those vets' bellies, but you're giving just as much as maybe that captain is. They're a vital role as well.
There's a lot of room for people to benefit from it, but also help out with it. So
absolutely,
that's a cool program. Yeah, dude, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. Listen, if you're wanting to reach out to this organization, and let me say this real quick, this is an organization that I support. I've been exposed to a lot of them through doing the show here on YouTube, and some are good, some are not so good, and that's sad to say, since they are in this space of helping veterans. So this one I truly support. If you feel so moved to do the same, I'm going to put you a link down in the description where you can check them out and help them out with what they got going on. We'll catch you guys out on the water.